What's up, I'm travel photographer Brendan Vanson of Brendon'sAdventures.com, and today I've got an unboxing of a product I've been waiting for, well, basically ever. Let's get into it. So the Perlator Man arrived today with a new product for me that I've been waiting for forever. If you know me, you know my history, you know my travel photography, you know I've been working with a Canon 60D for all these years, or at least the past 2.5, 3 years. I've just not been able to afford a full frame camera. Until now, all my hard work is starting to pay off. It takes a long time, and yeah, the Perlator arrived with a brand new product for me, which is the Canon 6D. Now, I wanted to go full frame. That's the only thing I knew, and when I did my research, I found out that the only full frame I could afford was the Canon 6D, which is it's a full frame camera. It's not as pro as, say, the 5D Mark III, or of course the 1D or things like that, but it is a full frame sensor, and it's something I've really been looking forward to. So you guys don't understand how much hard work I put into this stuff, and over the years I've been working my ass off, and to finally be able to afford this is really cool for me. I can't even really explain it. It's really, like, it's been a labor. So yeah, I'm stoked about it. Of course, you get your manuals in your box, you get your CD and your solutions disc and stuff like that. We throw those to the side, and let's get at the goodies in here. Canon strap, of course. On my 6DD, I use this, what is this, an OP Tech strap, because I really like the soft, cushy strap rather than the Canon strap. So we'll see. I'll probably buy a new strap for this thing. What else is we got in here? We've got the charger. It's an LPE6 battery, which is the same as my 60D. It's an awesome battery. This battery on my 60D can shoot like 800 images sometimes. It's really good for that. And so I'm stoked that it's the exact same battery, which means I just have an extra battery. So no problems there. All your cables. That's my battery for it, which we'll open up. And then in the awesome stuff here is the 6D body. And there she is. There she is. It's cold. Outside it's like -4 degrees or something like that, Canadian, -4 Celsius. And that's cold. You can tell it's been out in the cold. Wow, like, yeah, it's beautiful. It's obviously, let's bring up my 60D here. It's obviously bigger than my 60D. You can't tell because the tripod mount is down there. But it's not much bigger, to be honest. It probably sticks out a little bit farther. It's a little bit wider. It definitely feels a little bit bigger in my hand. But it's almost the same size as the 60D when you look side by side, maybe slightly bigger. But very cool. First off, right away I can see the changes. Some changes I'm really stoked for. Over here you've got just a switch to go over to video mode, and that's sweet. Whereas this, on the 60D, I had to switch all the dials all the way over to the video mode. I also like that this is a ring. It goes all the way around. So if I did want to change my mode and I wanted to spin it around, I can just go continuously. That's cool. As with basically all the Canon cameras I've ever used, all the buttons are on this side, which is sweet for me because I like to be able to just point. It's also got the wheelie thing. 5D shooters will find that there's no joystick here, but that's not something I've ever had before, so I'm not going to miss it. The one thing I am probably going to miss on this camera is, as you can see, there's no flipping screen. So on the 60D, I have this flipping screen here, and it's awesome for shooting video like this. It's also awesome if I'm set up on a tripod doing live view shooting and I can just turn it to the side there rather than hunch down under it. So I'm going to miss that. The screen size, the LCD screen size, is the exact same 3-inch screen. I think this is a higher quality screen, but I do wish it rotated out. The construction, I can tell the construction is better. This is the magnesium alloy with a little bit of plastic, whereas the 60D is much more plasticky. I can see it. It feels much more like a toy attached to it. Moving over to the side of the camera, It's got one card slot, SD card slot, and most people were hoping it would have two, as like the 5D does. Have two card slots so you have backup, but I don't find that to be a problem. I just carry big memory cards, no big deal. On this side you have your mic jack and your intervalometer or remote trigger that goes in here. You've also got AV out, digital, and HDMI. A lot of the videographers were unhappy because there's no like, you can't listen to the audio while you're recording, so you can plug in an external mic, you just can't listen to it, you can't hear it, you can't monitor it, so that's a little bit challenging. So let's pop the battery into this thing, and if there's charge to it, usually they leave a little bit of a charge in the batteries. We'll just open it up really quickly, and I'll throw on the 70 to 200 lens, just because I want to kind of feel it out. I want to see how it feels to shoot. It's cold. I'll tell you, you don't believe me? It's cold out there. I haven't done winter for like 5 years and it's -5, feeling like -50 out there. It's gonna be nice having a clean sensor too. My 60D sensors, you know, it's kind of dirty. So let's pop that on. Right like this. And yeah, I love the balance of it. It feels exactly balanced. Just the same way my 60D did. Flick it on, yeah, the battery's dead, so I can't do anything for you, as much as I wish to. Although, now that I think about it, I'm a little bit slow. Let's just pop out the battery. You see how I just shot out there? That was kind of cool. From the 60D, we'll just pop the other battery in, because it's the same battery. So it doesn't matter. There, and now I can give you my... Yeah, there we go. Now she's up and running, and obviously the settings aren't set up. It's basically running in auto mode right now. Let's flip it over to aperture priority mode, and let's just shoot an image and see how it sounds. I love the sound test, even if you're just taking a picture of anything. I've got to turn that beep off. Photographers that use the beep, turn it off. It's annoying. It really is. So I will adjust that, and oh man, that is quiet. You probably didn't hear it. The shutter is, compared to my 6D, which sounds like a beaver flapping its tail against the water, the 6D is basically silent. Really quiet. Beautiful. First thing I noticed looking into it is I've got 11 autofocus points. On the 60D I only had 9 autofocus points, I believe. Yeah, 9 autofocus points. And I noticed that right away that there's a couple more, but the thing is they always bunch them right into the middle, don't they? They bunch them right in the middle. So I would like autofocus points to be in like different parts of the screen, because then it would kind of set up with a rule of 2/3 a little bit more. People were complaining about the autofocus on this. It's one of the reasons I think it didn't sell as well as it should have, is that it only has those 11 autofocus points and only the center point is a cross type. Meaning that really the center one's the only one you can really trust. So I think that's a hard sell for a lot of people. If you're shooting still life, nature, landscape, stuff like that, you won't have a problem with it. This camera is famous for its low light autofocus capabilities. So if you're shooting in really low light, things like nature, that sort of stuff, out at landscapes at dark or star photography, this is the body for that, because it really does autofocus, or it's supposed to. Of course, I've never tested it out. Really autofocuses as well in the dark, and so I'm stoked for that. I think the autofocus demise of the autofocus and the rumors of that is probably a little bit exaggerated. And coming from the 60D here, I'm sure it'll feel like an upgrade, even if it is a little bit disappointing for people that are used to shooting things like 5Ds. Let's get into some specs, I guess. I wrote them down here to compare between my 60D and the 6D. So the 6D has a 20.2 megapixel sensor, whereas the 60D has an 18 megapixel sensor. And obviously the sensor for this is full frame, whereas this is cropped. Looking at my notes, because I have a bad memory, the 6D has a 35.8 by 23.9 millimeter sensor, which is basically means this sensor is as tall as the sensor in the 60D is wide. The 60D's sensor is 22.3 by 14.9 millimeters. Both CMOS sensors, of course. As I mentioned before, we got 11 autofocus points in the 60D and only 9 in the 60D, 11 in the 6D. The viewfinder coverage is still not 100% with the 60D. You get 97% coverage, whereas it's 96% coverage, so small little upgrade. LCD, as I mentioned, it doesn't flip out on the 6D. On the 60D it does. That's a downgrade for me, personally. Some people hate the flip out LCD. For me, I love it. So ISO, that's the big reason I wanted to move to full frame. The 60D and all cropped sensors have issues with ISO, shooting anything over about 400 ISO. So doing things like star photography and that sort of thing is really difficult on cropped sensors. Well, at least to get really clean images. The 60D basically goes ISO 100 to 6400, and it expands. But the expanded ISO, I think, is a bit of more of a show off than it is actually reality. The 6D does ISO 100 to 25,600 and expands down to 50 ISO and up to 102,000 ISO. So it's really, really helpful, and it should be great in low light situations. We have basically the exact same video options. We have a 1080p resolution, 30 frames per second. I would have liked the 6D to jump to 60 frames per second video on that 1080p, but I can't really complain about that. The mic's also a bit upgraded. We've got a stereo mic on the 6D, whereas the 60D only has that mono mic. The biggest upgrade for the enthusiasts anyway is that the 6D has GPS included in it. So in the 6D, we're shooting GPS tracking all over the place. When you're shooting, it's locking you in your GPS tag, which is awesome for those people that are previously running programs with their iPhones and things like that and then melding them in Lightroom. It does it all for you in the camera. That's an awesome feature. Another awesome feature is the Wi-Fi. Now, I use these iFi cards, as you probably saw my review of them a while ago, so it's not as big of a deal, but it is still very cool to be able to remote operate your camera from a smartphone using Canon's program, and also being able to pop JPEG files from your camera onto your smartphone and then shoot them off to your social media followers and stuff like that right away. That's super cool. I think that's it for my specs. Let me think about this. Yeah, it's a little bit heavier. According to the specs, it's 770 grams, whereas this is about 675 grams. So I'm adding about 100 grams of weight, but no big deal. Honestly, no big deal. I'm still going to be using the 60D. I'll probably be using the 60D for like street photography and stuff that I can put the 70 to 200 on. Because the crop sensor actually lets me zoom a little bit farther, it's kind of a little bit of an advantage. Of course, though, with the bigger sensor, I can always crop down the image as well. So don't expect for me to stop using the 60D. This will still be my backup lens body, and the 6D will be my baby. I'm going to treat her good. I promise you I'll treat her good. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do a full-on review as I've done with other products on this show, because this 6D has been out for a long time, so there's hundreds of reviews already. Instead, what I'm going to do is give you some test shots. So look for a video in coming weeks where I give you some test sample images that I've taken on the 60D. I'll even let you download them on my site so you can inspect and look at them to try to figure out if the 6D is a camera you might want to be picking up. Anyway, that's it for the unboxing. I am stoked to have a new camera, and I'll be showing you some images soon, so be sure to subscribe to the channel and stick around for all this good stuff. I'll catch you next time. Peace.